representatives of the major federal agencies, in fact, almost all federal investigative agencies, certainly FBI, who's sort of the host, but they don't own it, FBI, Postal Inspection Service, Secret Service, and inspectors general from all the departments. Department of Homeland Security, DHS IG, HUD IG, Energy, Education, you name it. And also representatives of state and local law enforcement. It's also a virtual command center connected to the entire United States. And basically what happens is, through the aggressive use of hotlines and toll-free numbers and complaint desks, I guess referral desks, which are by themselves populated, by the way, by students. One of whom is my daughter, Erica, who is working up there in the command center. They actually receive hotline calls from all over the United States reporting the potential for disaster fraud. And it is, they track the cases there, cases are assigned, venue, the appropriate location for where the case should be referred to is determined. Let's say you've got floods up in the Northeast, okay, recently in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, primarily Rhode Island, Massachusetts. I've been on the phone with the U.S. attorneys from Rhode Island and Massachusetts in order to integrate them into this process so that they can get the word out. So referrals about possible frauds, whether it's multiple claims by individuals who are not dislocated for FEMA funds, or multiple claims through misrepresentation of Red Cross funds, to the reporting of fraudulent websites. These have been coming in and they're referred out to the appropriate agencies, and as I said, they're tracked and resources are managed as well. It's a great success story. It's really pretty neat. But that's also an animal that was a recent creation of Katrina, and we're very involved in that. Like I said, tomorrow I'm actually traveling up there to physically take over oversight at least of that process. So just a little orientation in that regard. I talked a little bit to Professor Higginson's class. How many of you all were in that class? Oh, okay, I got a few. Two of our law clerks, and we got some more folks who are in that class. Steve Higginson is first of all, let me say, he's not here, and it's easy for me to do this because it embarrasses the hell out of him when I do this. Steve Higginson is probably the brightest legal mind I've ever encountered, and he's right up there with Michael Dreeben from the solicitor's office, who is just amazing. Con law professor here, former U.S. Supreme Court law clerk Byron White. And just an amazing person in our office, who by the way, I've seen argue before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the guy is phenomenal. If you really want to, if you could go back and look at the transcript of his argument in the appeal, in the Edward Edwards appeal, he went head-to-head with Alan Dershowitz, and it wasn't a contest. The press recognized it wasn't even a contest. Steve was absolutely just flawless, absolutely amazing. But we talked a little bit about careers and how you go from place to place, whatever. You guys are, I suppose most of all, if not all, most of the people here are getting ready to embark on careers. It's tough. It's tough out there right now. It's I don't need to tell you that we're in a horrible economic downturn. First of all, let me say this, and I think Jamie suggested I do this because I do this all the time anyway. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, and maybe an inspiration to some of you. I was a crappy student. Okay? I was absolutely not a good law student. I know Dean Clever's looking at me very disapprovingly, but I was just not. I was an average student. I was a pretty good student in grammar school, average student in high school, average okay student in college. When I got to law school, I was not. I really played around too much, quite frankly, and did graduate. Although I just found out that, and this is, again, maybe this is an inspiration, maybe it's not. I always would go out and I would tell to people, hey, look, I've been very successful because I've done what I love, and that's what I think has propelled me and has made a difference for me, because I've really sunk my teeth into it. If you do what you love, you will in some way succeed. If you don't, then even if you make a zillion bucks, you fail. I always go out there and tell people, hey, you know what, I was second to last in my law school class of 1979. And I thought that was, you know, I mean, what the hell, why hide it? It's what it is. And so my illusions were sort of dashed, I guess, a couple of weeks ago in Arizona. I was there for the U.S. Attorney's Conference, and Dennis Burke, who's the U.S. Attorney for the District of Arizona, we're having dinner again, and he says, you know, I got to tell you something. He said, I think it might be good news for you. So, Larry Poneroff was out there, former dean of, a friend of mine, former dean of Tulane Law School. And he said, Larry and I were having dinner, and he said, we were talking about you, and sort of, and he said, you know, it was kind of a knee slapper. Larry saying, yeah, Letten's always out there telling people, bragging about how badly he did in Tulane, you know, and how he graduated, I was second to last of his class. And he said, so you know what? I called him on it. He said, I went and checked his transcripts. He said, guess what? He's not right. I said, what? He said, no. He said, you're not right. He said, you were third to last. That is not a joke. That's absolutely true. You know, so and I know who the last was, and that person was financially very successful, very happy. So now I don't endorse that. I don't endorse that because, like I said, in 1979 the streets were paved with gold. There were jobs for everybody. I had like, you know, I had a job offer waiting for me when I got out of Tulane from a small civil firm. And this is, and I did this with your class a little bit for whatever it's worth. I think it is, you know, it goes with my theme is that whatever you do, first of all, my instruction to you is don't ever do what someone expects of you if it doesn't coincide with your expectation of yourself. Don't go against your gut, your will, your desire, your curiosity, your passion, you know, what you think your aptitude is, what you want to do, simply because you feel pressure from a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt, a spouse, you know, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to get up out of bed every day, every morning. You're the one that's got to look at yourself in the mirror. You're the one that's got to go to that office, and you're the one who has to wade through it under the pressures and either excel or fail based upon what's in you and your ability and willingness to engage that mission, your ability and willingness to either propel yourself through simple motivation and you know, legitimate motivation, or just being there because you think you're supposed to be there. And I'm sure you all everybody gets, you know, everybody has no shortage of people around saying, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. Oh, you know, don't go into fine arts. You know, my daughter's a fine arts major at LSU. She's a brilliant artist. She's wonderful. You know, and I never asked to suggest that she do anything. You know, but other people go, oh, Erica, don't think about fine arts. You won't make any money in fine arts. Don't do fine arts. I know you love it. I know you're a great artist. You know, go into graphic design. Yeah, that's it. Go into graphic design. And she, you know, she's a strong young woman, and she basically, you know, said, and very nice. And I said, everybody, thank you, but I'm going to do whatever the hell I'm going to do. And she will excel at that, and she will be happy. If she doesn't, she'll do something else. It is difficult right now. It's hard, though. You know, with the job market is very, 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 very difficult. And you know, some of you may find yourselves, you know, quite frankly, it's you know, you may find yourselves looking for some type of employment. You know, that's okay. But always, when you're confronted with a direction or a choice, gravitate toward that which you love. You know, how many people here are, and I ask this other question too, have some notion, some desire to go into public service, do some kind of public service, whatever. Yeah, you see, there's no shortage of you. Whether that's to become a prosecutor, or whether that desire is to become a defense attorney, a public defender, or serve in public law somewhere, somehow. You know, that's something that you should then do. You should at least try, you know, if you get the opportunity. As like I said, there aren't that many jobs out there, but if you get a chance, now here's the deal. You know, as long as you can afford to do it, because I know some of you guys have, And I've talked for years now to young people who are, not necessarily young, just people who get out of law school and who have enormous debt to service. And sometimes that limits what jobs you can take. You may say, oh, I've got a chance to go to a law firm, or I'll be making, starting out at $120,000 a year, or go to a DA's office where I'm starting out at $40,000 a year, or whatever. I'd like to do one, but I have to service this debt. If you can, my advice to you is, if you have a desire to do this, do it now when you're first out. If you can all afford it, if there's a job that is offered to you and you really believe you will enjoy it, take it. Because two things. First of all, you've got to scratch the itch. You will always want to know what it was like. The second thing is, we tend to collect debts, obligations, things, people, and sometimes collect and sometimes create them along the way. We collect, we're like Velcro. We collect things along the way. We get our lives get big, and our obligations get concomitantly big. And so the likelihood, if you want to be a prosecutor, or want to try working in a DA's office or whatever, or a public defender's office, and you can all afford that now, if it's something you really want to do it now, because don't tell yourself you can go back and try it later. You probably won't be able to. It's something you really need to think very, very hard about. The other thing that's worth noting is, I think as I said, I'm probably where I am reasonably successful in my field. I don't consider myself economically successful, but that's not my measure of success. Is because I have done things that are rewarding to me, that I really love, that I have a passion for. You will excel in whenever you do that you love, if it means something to you. You will likely not in any job that you do not like. Now, I wish I had a buck for every person that I know who's, and not that it's the rule, but there's no shortage of attorneys out there, people in the legal community, who are making pretty good money, but really aren't happy with what they're doing, but who have now, they're in a situation where their obligations prevent them from going back and doing maybe the things that they wanted to do. Sometimes they luck out and they grow enough and they make enough money and their kids go to school, they can say, hey, I want to try and get into public service now. And I've seen that happen. And we've got a gal working for us, Sharon Smith. She's about this tall, she's a redhead, and she looks like she's about 15 years old. And she's a tiger. She's one of the finest civil attorneys I've ever seen. She's in our civil division. She spent a career as a private attorney, doing quite well for herself. And at some point when she could afford it, said, I want to free myself from the billable hours. I want to free myself from worry about how much time and money we invest in this case, and simply be able to represent the people of the United States and to focus on those things that focus on the excellence of my casework, my litigation, the quality of my litigation, to prepare and file motions and briefs and litigate issues based upon what needs to happen in the case, not based upon whether or not it's in terms of time expended and things like this, it's an economic expedient. And she's excelled. She's happy as can be. She wouldn't trade it for $1 million. And if you want to know how successful she's been, last year she brought home, through a key tam action, which is a whistleblower action that the federal government adopted, and we paired up with another person in the Philadelphia U.S. Attorney's Office, Eastern Pennsylvania, and together, those two individuals brought home a $650 million settlement from Merck Pharmaceuticals. And that benefits not just these two districts, but that goes to states' Medicare and Medicaid programs around the entire United States. Pretty amazing. But that's what investment of oneself can do. That's what motivation born of joy and love of work can do. And ask people like ask Dean Clever, the teachers, what motivates you. I will tell you, probably the only thing in my life that I've ever thought that I might like to do more than this would be to teach.